So let's take a few moments to center ourselves and be right here, right now. We've probably been pretty busy in the last 2 days, and some of us are looking at some pretty busy days to come. So let's just settle in, whatever's comfortable for you in your seat. Close your eyes so you can bring your focus inward. And this morning we give thanks for this season of birth. To celebrate, excuse me, to celebrate the birth of a historical child, and to celebrate the birth that each one of us is in the world. Our ability to rebirth ourselves each and every day to be the person we choose to be. And this morning we focused on that guiding star. So this is what I'd like you to take into silence for a couple of moments. What is the star that guides you? What helps you move forward in your life? Bring yourself to that place right now where you are guided by that star. And stay with that star in silence. As we return to this place in time, we bring with us the peace of the place where we just were. And we give thanks for the guiding star, bless you, for the guiding star in our own lives that helps remind us of our true direction. And with that we say, Amen. Amen. So this morning my question is, what star guides you? This is a key part of our Christmas story. This star that appeared and gave guidance to the wise men as they moved across the desert to figure out, where are we going? We've all driven across deserts, right? We live in Arizona. We know what it is to drive across a desert. And we know what it is to be in a desert where there's no evidence of anything in front of you, either side of you or behind you. You're just out there with the cactus and the sand. And that's where these wise men were. They were just out there. So they really needed this star. And they needed to pay attention, right? This star could have been there and they could have gone, oh, well, it's just another star. But there was something about the star and something about them that they went, you know what? We're going to follow this star. So we can take that into our own lives with a star. What star do we follow? What star do we pay attention to? I'd like us to take just a moment here, and we just have this one verse of We Three Kings, and we're going to sing that together to remind ourselves of this particular star.
Far, we yield and follow.
So here we have some words. Field and fountain, moor and mountain. There's a little message here that this trip isn't always easy. Field and fountain, moor and mountain, traveling over whatever is there, whatever's in front of us. So what's the star? What's the power? What's the guidance that we're going to take to guide us to our perfect light? Because we are each of us a perfect light, if we can only remember, right, that we are that perfect light. So this is the message we have in Matthew. In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem, asking, "Where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star and its rising, and have come to pay him homage." And we go to Charles Fillmore, one of our co-founders, and ask him, help us think about this star. And he says, the Star of Bethlehem symbolizes our inner conviction of our divinity. This inner conviction of our ability to accomplish whatever we undertake calls forth the very best in us and helps us to succeed where others of equal ability fail. So we have something to call on here, don't we? This own knowledge of our own divinity and our own divine star. We've had lots of people over the ages say, success is a certain percentage of skill or ability or talent, but so much more of it is your willingness to commit, right? That whole thing about intention and what am I going to put behind this? So our own divine star and our own light is that energy. That's what light is, right? It's energy. It's just energy. It's energy we can see as opposed to energy we can hear. So if we can remember that divine light, that divine star is energy, and then we can actually change the question. And we can say, what energy guides me? Right? What energy guides me in my life? And what energy do I have that I really want to bring forth? Basically, stars are big exploding balls of gas constantly releasing energy. Whoops, I think my last word fell off. Releasing energy into the universe. Has anybody looked at the sun through a telescope? No? Oh wow, we had the chance to do that last year. We went down to Lake Roosevelt. And there was a group from, I think it was the Forest Service, that had their telescopes set up. And you could look at the sun through a telescope. And that is what it looked like. And you could see these big bursts coming out of the side all around it. And it was like this, like a boiling ball. And it gives you such a different perspective of what this sun is and what a star is, that it really is big exploding ball of gas. And as the gas explodes, it's all about energy. It's all about energy. And the sun, when you look at it this way and see these big arcs exploding out of it, it just gives you this sense of mighty and power. And we can think of ourselves that way too, right? That we are balls of energy. And we have energy that comes out of all of us. Some of us can see other people's auras. I've never been able to do that. But I've had some people tell me when I'm speaking, for instance, come up afterwards and tell me what my aura looked like to them. So we have people who can see this energy, right? As it comes out of us and is around us. How many of you walk into a room and you feel energy in that room? Yeah. Because we are all emitting this energy around us all of the time. So that's another thing for us to be aware of, right? What energy guides me, and what energy am I dispersing around me, okay, for others to share? Where did I put mine? I pick it up, I lay it down. Thank you. Need it strapped around my neck, probably. And then we can turn this question another way. Just a minute. and go from what star guides you to what stars guide you. Okay, so we're going to look at this a couple different ways. What is your own energy that you are bringing into the world, and what is the energy that you are seeing and bringing to yourself? What stars guide you? Thank you, Suzanne. And with that question, I just recalled there's something I need for my talk that's back here. So I'll be right back.
It's still here.
There. So, what stars guide you? Because you know, any energy around you that you're attracted to feeds right back to you, right? We're not separate. It's all about this. It's all about this. So while I said we're looking at this from a couple angles, one of which being your energy and what you bring, and another being what is the energy out there that you are really attracted to and attract to yourself, it's really just one thing. Because it's really just this cycle of energy that comes and goes through all of us. Well, so what stars guide you? So I thought about what stars guide me and what stars have guided me. And I think most of us can probably say our parents have guided us in some way or another. So that was sort of a standard thing that came into me, and I said, okay, so how have my parents guided me? Well, my dad was in construction, so I learned about construction. And I remember as a kid running through houses like this, and it was so fun to run through the walls, right? And the fresh sawdust and the smell of the sawdust. And so I know that my dad has been a star that has guided me. I learned some skills about construction. I was able to hire a whole bunch of contractors to work on my house because I know something about it. So he taught me those kinds of concrete things. In addition, he's a man of high integrity. And I got to grow up watching that. And one of the evidences I had was there was a family who, over the course of his construction business, came back to him 3 times to have homes built. Each time they moved, they said, Louis, will you come build a house for us? And the last one, this was in southwestern Minnesota, and the last one was in South Dakota, and he had to take the crew and they had to stay, it was far enough away, they had to stay in a motel for a couple of weeks to put up this house. And typically, he worked just in the area, maybe a 60-mile radius at most. But this was a family that so respected the work he had done and his integrity in construction and his follow-through. Has anybody ever had a house built, remodeling, anything? Have you ever had to call the builder back about anything? Always. Always, there's something. And he had that reputation as well, that they knew if they needed something done after the fact, he would be responsive. Okay? So that's another thing I got to grow up around in terms of what star guides me. Being responsive, having that integrity, that people come back to you again to ask for that service because you've provided what they really need. Oh, well, since I went to that slide, we'll just stay there. And then, of course, there's these two. Not the dogs, but the kids. I never need to go to anyone different in my life to ask them to give me candid feedback. It's in my face every day. In my face every day. And that's important, right? It's really important that you have messengers in your life who can give you the message you may not want to hear. Right? And that you can take that message, that the message is given and you can receive it in love. I know for a while in this licensed teacher path, Reverend Sandy Kale in Scottsdale has been a mentor of mine, and I had something I needed to share with someone once that I really didn't want to have to talk about this. And she said, if you share it in love, it will be received in love. And it really puts you in a different place if you're making sure you're giving whatever that is in love. And I assume whatever I'm getting from these two is coming to me in love. And that's helpful. So it's great to have these two around when I think about what stars guide me. And then I need to also mention my mother, what stars guide me. This was her art form. I have a whole slug of these, and she made them for all of her kids in all different colors and patterns and shapes and sizes. And as you can see, they're very colorful as well, right? So I think, this is part of what I grew up around, is a mother who really appreciated, enjoyed color. Her wardrobe was very colorful. Her kitchen, the countertops were rusty orange, and the refrigerator and the stove were turquoise. It was like she was just it was about color. Her life was about color. And she was artistic in the form that came to her and that worked well for her, crocheting. So I also have an artistic piece. And I love color. Okay? So what stars guide you? This week, one of my goals has been to get more of my own artwork back up on the walls in our house. It was kind of everywhere, and then when we rebuilt the house from one end to the other, most of it came down, and some of them, I don't know if you have framed things in your house with glass over them, somehow some little insect gets under that glass. How is that? I don't know. But so I had 3 or 4 paintings that I had to take apart. That means taking the frame apart, taking the glass off, cleaning the glass, and I really don't like doing that. So I had totally put it off, and those paintings were living in the garage. But I decided this week I was going to do that, I was going to clean them up, and I was going to get them up on the wall. And part of this came as a result of the workshop we attended last week. Sherry was there, Mary Ann was there. Anybody else here who was there? I don't think so. And one of the commitments I made to myself after that workshop was to get my... Nancy was there, that's right. One of the commitments I made to myself, we were supposed to make a commitment that we would follow through on in the next day or two, right away. And one of them was to get this artwork back up on the wall. Clean them up, get them on the wall, because I really wanted to be more surrounded by my artwork. So I did that this week, right girls? Mm-hmm. I hung like 5 or 6 paintings that had been living in the garage. And as I was doing that, I really connected with a star that guided me, which was the woman I took watercolor lessons from. Many years ago, when I lived in Billings, Montana, probably 25 years ago, I took a watercolor course. I was intrigued. And I still have a couple of the paintings I produced, which were very marginal. But it introduced me to watercolor and how watercolor works. And I carried that with me for years. I was intrigued by watercolor and wanted to do more of that. Well, then when I was living in Menominee, Wisconsin, I saw a piece in the paper. A woman was offering a week-long watercolor session in the summer, and I was teaching with the University of Wisconsin, so I had my summers off. And I went, this is perfect, 4 days, all day long, to do this class. So I went to the class, and every summer from then on, I did watercolor camp. But I called it for myself, watercolor camp. I would do a week with her in the summer. So I just want to show you a little bit. This next painting, this is one of her paintings. That's one of Kim's paintings. Unfortunately, she passed at the age of 43 in 2005. And I went for several years after that not painting because I just didn't have the person who brought the painter out of me. I would say that that's what she did. She brought the painter out of me. So this is one of her watercolors. And then this is the one that I did based off of the same photograph. So I'm just going to show you just a few of my watercolors. That was the very first painting I ever did with her. And this was Kim. People would come to the class, right? And they'd have a sheet of watercolor is this big, right? Of watercolor paper is this big. And she'd go, we're going to paint a full sheet. And they're like, whoa, no way. I want to paint a painting this big. No, we are painting a full sheet of watercolor paper. And that is a lesson in itself, right? If you're going to go at something, if you're going to try something, go big. Go for it. Don't light the candle halfway, right? Light it and set it out there and go for it. What's the worst that can happen? Maybe you don't get it quite right. You've drawn attention. You've drawn attention. You've drawn energy toward it, and you will continue to go. So that was, I think, the first painting I did with her. That's another one we did where we were looking at putting medium on the paper to resist paint. So you see different kinds of colors, some of which was not my doing. It was the medium that we used to create that. There was that one turned into a mixed media project because I had a child at the time who was about 3 or 4 years old who got onto my painting table with her little friend and paints and water and just the whole bottom part of the painting was destroyed. So I was very upset for about a year, and then I went, I can do something with this. So I dug out my fabric and different kinds of things, and anyway, so it turned out really fun. And another one, and another of my own subjects, and that's the last painting I did with Kim, and that's a painting I did since Kim. So, what stars guide you? Really a question I want you to think about. Maybe there was a star that guided you 5 or 10 years ago. I haven't painted in years now. I have a painting table a friend of mine made for me by my own design when I was in Wisconsin. It's tall enough that I can stand or sit on a stool. It's about this big, so I can put a full sheet of watercolor paper on it. It's got a leaf that I can bring up, so I can have someone paint with me, or I've got room to spread out. And I have 4 shelves under it that are big enough to put full sheets of watercolor paper on. So I had this made for me. I set it up about a month ago for the first time in 4 years. Shing set it up about a month ago for the first time. So I have my painting table back up, and I am this close to painting again. Actually, Zoya and I played with paints a little bit yesterday. And this next semester, I'm going to take a pastels and sketching class at Gila Community College. I've never taken a sketching class. I don't know anything about drawing, and pastels is a new medium. So I'm at this. It has taken me years. We lived in Colorado for a year, and we were in a 2-bedroom apartment and just didn't have room for stuff. And it's taken me a long time to kind of get that piece back into my life since moving here, partly because we were tearing apart a house and rebuilding it. But this star has always been with me. And Kim personifies that star in my life, bringing out the artist in me. So, to think about, who are the stars in your life that help you be the most you can be? Who are the stars you want to revisit and bring back, who help you be the most that you can be? You know, each of us is God in expression, right? I am God in expression. That means everybody I know is God in expression, right? That means all of these stars who guide me are God in expression. And we can honor them as God in expression. And recognize that's what's going on in our lives. When we have people, when we have skills, when we have talents that tug at us and say, do this, I'm not letting you go, right? That's what painting has done to me. It said, I'm not letting you go. I'm going to stay back in here, and you are going to come back to this. You are going to come back, and I've known that. And I right now I don't know exactly what form it's going to take. I would like to make functional artwork, right? Artwork that people can actually use in their lives, as opposed to just hanging on a wall. So it's very much in process for me. And I asked, so I want you to take that question with you this week. Who is it that's God in expression in your life that's tugging and pulling at you and saying, come on, here's a star. You've been trying to ignore me. You've been trying to not pay attention. But I am a star in your life, and come and follow. Next week, we do our annual burning bowl. And this is a chance for you to take whatever you are ready to dump, right? Whatever you are ready to let go of in your life, write it on a piece of paper and burn it. Symbolically burning whatever that is that you wanted to let go of. The other part of the burning bowl, though, is you get to write down on a piece of paper and address an envelope to yourself. Did anybody get your letters in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah.
And you write that down and you address it to yourself, and December 2014, we send it back to you. And what you write on there, some people think of it as a letter to God. Some people think of it as an intention. Some you might think of it as, what is the star I want to affirm for 2014 in my own life? What star or what stars are going to guide me? So you can take this into the next week and kind of prepare yourself, right? Spiritually for the burning bowl that we'll have next week. So, there's the question. What stars guide you?